So thanks for the question.
Ms Finlay.
Thanks, Chair. Just tracking back to the Tamar scheme, the response to Mr Raze, the introduction, all of your information, there is no doubt that there's significant benefit to our producers in terms of the scheme, and as you said in your introduction, benefits to producers, benefits our community.
Yep.
Yes, I acknowledge absolutely that it has been complex, but there's been a lot of work done from the parliamentary, legislative side to enable this to happen, and what I hear is there's deep frustration with the time it's taken to work through the complexity. So it's been slow, really slow, and that is causing people, and that's why I wanted that clarification around the deposits. It's causing people to contemplate whether they just go out alone, and if they've got capacity, some of them have got capacity to manage water on their own properties, but some don't. So they're sort of, it's an inter-reliant system. So the slowness is a problem. You just mentioned that you've been to the feds just recently to contemplate what might be available.
Yes.
In terms of federal money, but I mean that could have happened a long time ago. So it feels like that each step in this process has been delayed and quite slow. So given that RecFit went to the feds, your language around this project implies a lot of ownership of the entire project. Who's actually leading this? One of the challenges with this current government, and forgive me for the comment, but it's true, is that where there are multiple agencies involved in a project, often there's not a driver or a leader, and so things take time, and as a result they fall away or collapse. So who's actually driving the project?
And thank you for your question, although I disagree with the premise of it. I am certainly
driving it?
I am certainly pulling all of this, all the strings and all the levers that I possibly can to deliver that. I meant it when I said that my principal role is to deliver that water in the right places at the right price, and it needs to stack up. But it needs to be reliable. One of the reasons that TI has the reputation that it has is because of the surety that it provides. The surety, the 98% surety that water is delivered on time and it is reliable. It's one of the reasons that TI has done so well, and I congratulate TI for that. I won't compromise on that. So having said that we need to deliver that water, it also needs to be done in a very reliable, grown-up and practical way. And the risks involved with any potential shortfalls or downfalls need to be clearly identified and built into the risk matrix on that project. I'm going to talk now. I'm going to hand over to Mike Sylvester, and he'll talk through some of the frustrations that he's had. But I want to assure you that this is being driven, that we're not sitting on our hands. I'm only a recent minister, a few months in the job, but let me tell you that this is one that I've placed a lot of energy into, and I know TI have done the same.
So just before you pass over, I'm really happy to hear about where those challenges have been, and it's great as Minister, and I've heard you at many forums, and I trust that your intention is to drive things and to get things done. Many of the farmers on this scheme have worked with 4 ag ministers over the last 4 years.
I get that.
It's been horrendous for them, and that's why that holding of deposits when it's been complex, but it's been slow. It's really frustrating. People are thinking of opting out, and that's not going to help, because then you're not going to have the numbers, and the business case is going to have to shift again. So if you are, across RecFit and TI and the government, taking the lead on this, then please do drive it, because a lot of these things around what is the risks, what are the volumes that are needed, how do we bring it together, actually it's complex, but it's pretty simple as well. It's mathematical, right? And it's about relationships, but it's about effort and it's about action. And you are the new minister in the role. Great if you drive this, but there has been a lot of stop-start and a lot of no action, and I think this is the place where we share these things. But when someone has the water, so when a scheme is developed, it's out of the ground and the water's available and they're irrigating and it's an irrigating season, then people love the water that comes from TI. But I think as Minister, you have a responsibility, and as a new CEO, you have a responsibility to check the process culture and the process reputation of TI, because I think there are things that across the board can lift to take these frustrations and these delays out of the system. But I'm happy for you to to share, if you could.
That was a question, Ms. Finlay.
Yeah, what are the barriers and how are you going to get across them quickly? Because this has been years to this point, and now we're only just asking the feds where the funds are at.
Minister.
There was a question at the end.
So the question, what I was doing was giving reference to your comment before you handed over the response to the question, which is where are the challenges and what are you going to do to overcome them? But you made a couple of comments that I didn't think were reflective of how the farming community feel, particularly around this Tamar scheme, where there are unfortunately frustrations that need to be managed with TI from the farming community. Once they've got the water, it's turned on and they're using it to their benefit. That's fantastic, and where that can add to your future farm gate value, that's fantastic. But to get from an idea to actually the delivery of the water, unfortunately there are challenges with reputation and culture across TI, and I welcome your appointment and I hope that shifts.
Can you talk about, if you wouldn't mind, thanks to the member, the demand and the lack of strength in demand, how that would stack up in terms of percentages? The 8 or 9 versus the 25,
yes.
Typically. So to give that aspect of not as an excuse, but basically paint the reality, please, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Minister, and I thank the member for the question. The first part of my answer, I want to talk to my appointment, as you call out, as a new CEO and the culture within Tas Irrigation. And as you know, I've been in the role now for 7 months. But I've been really, really impressed by what Tas Irrigation gets through as a very small GBE. We've got about $1.3 billion worth of projects under design and construction at the moment. There's 10 permanent staff in our capital works department. By way of example, we've developed 16 irrigation schemes in about 16 years. We're one of the fastest water developers in the country. We have a formidable reputation across Australia and New Zealand for bringing high reliability water to the irrigating community and using water as an enabler to unlock growth in the agriculture sector. I think that's also testament to a chart in our annual report where there was almost linear correlation between the water that Tas Irrigation provides and the farm gate value growth in the last decade.
None of that's disputed, but I think those relationships with your irrigating farmers and your potential irrigating farmers is something that could improve.
Yeah, and certainly the signal that I'm sending under my leadership is that we're open for business.
Yeah, and like I said, that's welcome. But there's a history or a legacy that needs to. Those things need to correlate as well over time. But the challenges, the challenges to delivering the Tamar scheme, what you identify them specifically to be and what you specifically are going to do about achieving the scheme, because there has been frustration in the delays.
Yeah, through you, Minister, and again, thank you for the clarification question. So the key risk remains the uncertainty of demand. We've got confirmed demand from the irrigator community, notwithstanding that demand is insufficient to develop an irrigator-only scheme. And normally we would aim for 25%. In terms of water entitlement sales, but if we sell all the water we possibly can on this scheme to irrigators, we're still only going to raise about 8% of the capital cost. So there is a significant shortfall in demand. For me personally, it's working very closely and continuing to work very closely with RecFit and overseeing my project team to do the same with their project team to advance the demand from the provisional proponent at Bell Bay. So then we've got some certainty to design to.
And can I ask a question between your relationship with TI and RecFit? Within that, given that you are the water developers, is there a lead in that relationship? Are you the lead in that relationship with RecFit?
Well, through you, Minister, and again, thank you for the question. No, the lead in the relationship with RecFit is the General Manager of Project Development and Delivery. And the lead on RecFit's side is the director in their department.
Oh, sorry. So not as an entity, but not as individuals, but as an entity. Which entity, TI or RecFit, is taking the lead? Because again, and this is not a comment to you, but a comment across government, when there are multiple agencies involved in delivering projects, I could think of the Spirits as an example. Unfortunately, one of the shortfalls is that no one's actually punching and driving. So in the relationship between TI and RecFit, who takes the lead there?
In terms of the RETFIC involvement in that, we,
You're
at
taking
our
the lead.
request, requested that RETFIC become involved to look at the non-irrigation component, the commercial component, the hydrogen component, and that's what they do. That's where that federal funding was aimed at. So that is their jurisdiction under that. In terms of providing that water, then that is my responsibility, and they're mutually inclusive and mutually supporting, I would have thought. So,
Do you understand the question, though?
I understand your question, and there needs to be a give and take with when you're working interdepartmentally. However, my job is to deliver. My job is to deliver water, and that component will aid in that goal, in that mission outcome, and that's why we convened that meeting with RETFIT.
So through you to the CEO, is TI taking the lead in the departmental relationship between TI and RETFIT?
Well, through you, Minister, and again, thank you for the question. So TI is taking the lead in providing the water solution in accordance with the demand that we know about. So that demand comes from two areas. It comes from our irrigation customers, and it also comes from the work that RETFIT are doing with their provisional proponent and other proponents that they have in that area as well.
Has the conversation shifted?
We'll move on, and you can ask again, but we want to get through at least 2 rounds. But you wanted to say something, Mr Pearce?
Thanks, Chair.